Hello, dear sisters and brothers. Welcome to The Bright Side. I'm Andreacha with Beatrice de Cruz, and we're, of course, on Catholic SG Radio. Now, on this program, we invite our sisters and brothers into the studio to share with us their faith, the stories of hope that they share with us that glorify God, and also sometimes in the work that they have been called to do.
Yep. And as church, we are all human and part of one body, the body of Christ. And each member of this unique body plays an integral part despite our differences. And our differences should not mean that people ostracize or condemn us. Now, persons with disabilities or intellectually challenged are not looking for pity, and they seek to serve the community and to enjoy their full baptismal rights as members of the church. And so our interaction with them can and should be an affirmation of our faith.
Now, for many parents who have a special child in their family, they too are learning also and coming to terms with the special person that God has placed in their love and their care. Now, today, in collaboration with Catholic Family Life, we have with us Rosalind Jeraled. She's been married for 29 years, has 3 adult children. Wow. Her son Leon is on the moderate spectrum of autism, and Rosalind, who is an early childhood professional herself, has been with the Faith and Light community since 2009.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Michael, Jalleh, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Mike has been married for 34 years and has 2 adult daughters. His younger daughter, Claire, is intellectually challenged, and he's been with the Faith and Light community for 8 years. So once again, thank you so much to both of you taking the time to come in and share with us. Rosalind, I'm going to start with you, if you don't mind. For those of us who are not familiar, could you explain to us what the moderate spectrum of autism is?
Good morning, and thank you. Thank you for having us here today. Okay. ASD, or autism spectrum, that we call, is actually a complex, I would say it's a complex developmental condition involving persistent challenges and social communication. And they fall on a spectrum. When Leon was much younger, we would call it on a mild, moderate, or a severe spectrum. Today, we have researched and relabeled them as level 1, level 2, level 3. So these levels would basically indicate the amount of assistance or time and challenges that the child may have.
Right.
So those on level 1 could be very mild, which means they may be integrated even in a mainstream school.
Right.
They need some modification and all. Level 3 may be more severe. They may not be there. They may be in the special needs schools. They need constant guidance, constant supervision.
Right.
So Leon falls on a moderate, which is level 2, which means he may have some level of independence, some level of understanding. For example, he may be able to do a lot of self-help skill, like feeding himself, dressing himself, but his ability to understand things. To travel, he may not be able to do that alone.
Right.
He needs to be closely supervised most of the time. When it comes to meal, all children with autism loves food. So they may not have a control over food. So you need
good
to
and bad,
that.
right?
Yes, good and bad. Yes. So you need to supervise him at home. You can't leave him alone, or he will just be opening the fridge and taking everything that's there.
Wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
he's on the moderate. So communication-wise, you may not be able to have a two-way conversation with him.
I see.
He may be able to ask you his wants and needs today with about 3 to 4 sentences. He may still ask you, come. He may hold your hand and do that gesture, come. Amma, come. Amma is what he refers to me as mother.
Right.
So Amma, come. Then I will have to ask him, what do you want? So you need to actually prompt. Then he can share on his social needs what he wants. He wants to go out. He wants to do things. You need to have activities for him.
Right.
He may not be able to plan his schedule.
Right.
To
So it
keep
needs
him
to be very
engaged.
structured.
Very structured. So he goes to a day activities center. So that keeps him occupied. So they have activities planned for him. But when he comes home, you will need to keep him meaningfully engaged.
Yes.
They love screen time. We can spend lots of time on the screen.
Wow.
So you need to limit that screen time
As well.
So at home, I do have a schedule for him. So he writes it down. So that helps him to learn to read, to write, to recall his letters and words
Right.
in a very simple activity that we first started off. And now it's gone up to a board that I could leave there.
Right. And these schedules, these structures, help them very much in their day-to-day living as well.
Definitely. Because children with autism, they need a structured
Right.
setting. They need to anticipate what is happening. If not, the anxiety builds up. And when the anxiety builds up and those who are non-communicative, not able to express their needs, this is where you will find the behavioral issues acting up. The frustration builds up because I can't tell you what I want. I want this.
It's frustration,
It's
actually.
the frustration.
And that is also an understanding that, I mean, of course, you're a professional and, you've learned it as well. But for families who don't have professionals in the family, that is also a growing and learning curve for them as well.
Definitely. It is a very big struggle because when I first had Leon, of course, I know I was already in the field of work with the children and I had early years of experience working with children with autism. But on those times, we didn't know it was autism because they were not diagnosed or given that name.
Right.
So we just say they're challenging behaviors and issues we needed to manage. So when I had Leon, it was a blessing in the sense that I already had knowledge and some skills and experience. But again, every child is unique, every child is different.
Yeah.
But for families who may not be in this field at all and may not have any knowledge, it is a real struggle.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
I can't imagine.
I want to go back a little bit to where you mentioned at the time when you learn about the term autism. So when did you learn that Leon had autism, and then you could finally put like all the pieces came together for you in that moment? When was that for you?
Okay, when Leon was about 6 months, I would say, we saw a lot of behavior issues. For example, he would be only clinging on to me. He would not even go to the dad. He didn't want another family member holding on as a baby, even then. The minute you pass him over, he would scream, he would cry continuously.
Right.
And then, of course, his sleep patterns were very different. Most babies would sleep pretty well in the night after their milk feed. Leon may not do that. He may be getting up very frequently. He may not be hungry. He may not be wet. You didn't know what he wanted, but he will constantly be crying. So all I could do is carry him, lift him up. And of course, we noticed as he was growing, he said Amma at about 10 months, 11
So
months.
sweet.
And he could move around. His physical abilities were good. But then when he came to the later stage, after 12, he became very quiet, 12 months, 1 year plus. We don't hear much of his words. He could be able to repeat after you initially, and later he became very quiet. And then we noticed, because children with ASD, I know that they're very sensitive to noise, light, and things. And I started noticing that he was experiencing these things. For example, the minute we bring him out, he didn't like it, especially when places were crowded and where there were loud noise. You could hear him suddenly crying away, wailing away. So these were all things that made me think that there must be something more. But of course, I respect the view of my husband, where he felt, no, it's just things in your mind because you work with kids and you all these, you're just putting them together. So I said, okay, due respect given as a father, what we would do, we'll wait till Leon is 2 years old because that's a better time to do a developmental assessment.
That's right.
Right. So I always believed in early intervention because I think early intervention works great for children.
Yes.
So when Leon turned 2, by that time, Leon has developed physically well. His physical development aspect, fine gross motor, able to walk, move, were far beyond what he could do. Even for children at that age may not, but he was able to do a lot. Like he will go up the stairs, very independent. We will be running after him. He'll be moving everywhere. Leon didn't have eye contact. So that was the first thing you'd also notice. When he called, he will not turn and look at you. He knows you're calling, but he's not responding. And when you're speaking to him, he may not look at you in the eye. His eyes will be fleeting. He'll be looking elsewhere.
Right.
His attention span on doing things will be very short as well. And he likes to look at things that spins. He likes to look up at the fan. He likes to go around and move things. He likes to arrange things in a line.
Oh, yeah.
And he repeatedly can do it continuously for 30 minutes.
Wow.
His attention to those things can be prolonged.
Right.
But if you move him to another activity, and let's say I want to read and sing with you, he may just sit there for 2 minutes, 1 minute, and he'll just move away.
Wow.
So those were things that I kept in a journal. I kept them and I said, okay, these are things that I need to know. Because when you see a professional, it's very important to share.
Yeah.
Because the professional is there to look into what you are saying and then to assess Leon to see if you don't share, that's why I always say parents who do not keep a journal or do not keep these experiences, the professional also may have a hard time
Yes.
to know what exactly is the issue with
There
the
needs
child.
to be some corroboration,
yes, there
right?
definitely needs to be.
Mike, I want to bring you into the discussion as well. Could you share with us how your family learned to support and understand the needs of Claire?
Yeah, I think it has been a long journey. Claire initially was diagnosed with global development delay. But I don't think that's a label that you place on a child when she's born,
Right.
right? So we kind of learned that she had developmental issues along the way. And even the healthcare professionals hesitated to say, this is the problem, or this is a specific problem.
Right.
So it was over a course of a few years. So of course there were some of the milestone checks that of course Claire missed, even crawling, even walking, and of course talking. So all took some time before she even approached those milestones, never mind meet them.
Right. But those were indicators already for you all.
Yes,
In a sense.
yes, yeah. So it was a tough journey for us. I had just quit my job just before she was born, and I started the business, and then I realized that she was having all these issues.
Right.
So, and I had to give up whatever I was doing after 3 years, and it was literally turning my life upside down because I needed to attend to her needs.
Right.
To answer your question, how did we attempt to meet her needs? I think the first level is trying to understand. And that is tough.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about children, I have an older one. So you kind of know what to expect. You kind of know that this is the pathway and you know what's going to happen next.
Correct.
But with Claire, we never did. We never knew what to expect and what would happen next.
Right.
Like even bringing her to the beach,
Right.
you would think that it's a pleasant experience, everyone's going to have fun.
Right.
But she would do things that you would never
Think.
would never even occur to you that she would do.
Right.
Just one example, as a 3-year-old, she would take a handful of sand, the beach, of course, and put it into her mouth. And she would actually chew it.
Wow.
And as parents, of course, it would never even occur to you that she would do such a thing,
Right.
right? And it took us a long time to understand why,
Right.
right?
But it must have frightened you as well.
Of course, yeah. So
Yeah.
you just, of course, it's a mixture of feelings. You
Yeah.
get angry,
Yeah.
you get shocked.
Yeah.
Right, you
It's-
even tempted to hit her because you want her to learn that it is
You're
dangerous.
totally bombarded, right, by
Yeah.
this whole welling of feelings and it's
Yeah,
just
correct.
welling
Yeah.
up,
Yeah. So it took us some time to understand, the point about sensory issues. The kind of sensations that she has. And in certain parts where it might be a bit dull, and she really needs it to be really rough before she can actually feel it.
Wow, okay.
Or and in other areas where
was she able to articulate in some form?
Yeah. So in those early years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even she did not. She could not exactly say what it is that she wants or what she's experiencing. I think her challenge is also finding it difficult to see the world through our eyes.
Yeah.
Right? She can't understand what it is that we are experiencing.
Yeah.
Right? And similarly, conversely, we can't understand what she's experiencing. So putting the sand in the mouth is her way of experiencing the world.
Yeah.
She has certain sensations that stimulates her, and she finds it even enjoyable, perhaps.
Great. Or exciting for that matter.
Yeah.
Right?
But for us, it's like, oh gosh, that is so dangerous. You know.
Yeah.
Interestingly, she didn't swallow the sand. Yeah. She just put it into her mouth, and of course, I think sometimes she also enjoyed our reaction.
They can be rascals. They can be rascals.
After some time, they know that you don't like it.
A child is still a child.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, I mean, to answer your question, I think that first step was very difficult. I hesitate to use the past tense because I'm still trying to understand her in many ways.
I'm sure.
And as she grows, she has different needs as well, right? So she would exhibit those needs in different ways. So it's a continuous journey, yeah. So, but that first step is trying to understand and accepting that she is different. That is tough.
Yeah.
I think because I'm in education, but I would say that as far as the schools in general are concerned, we educate and we assess for sameness.
Yes.
Right?
Uniformity,
right?
Yeah.
And trying to get students to be, in a way, homogeneous. And we measure them on the same plane, the same scale.
Yeah.
But people have special needs and different needs.
Yeah.
And sometimes that doesn't quite work for everyone. So that, even as an educator, I found that very, very challenging for my own daughter, right? And to learn that she has different needs. She's perceiving the world differently from all of us.
Right.
And that is a tough part. I could go on, but I think another aspect is to listen to the healthcare professionals, right? But as a parent, I think as parents, both my wife and I, we had to piece things together, right? What does the pediatrician say? What does the speech therapist say? What does the occupational therapist say? And in a way, both helpful and annoying. Most of the healthcare professionals would say, oh, you would know your child best.
That is a statement.
In a way, it's true.
In a way, it's true. But why am I before you?
Exactly.
Why have I come to see you? Sometimes you have that question in your head, if you don't articulate it yourself.
Yeah. So one is accepting, understanding, getting the advice from the right people. I think the tough part, and I think Rosalind would agree with me, is finding the social, psychological, and spiritual support.
Yeah.
And I think that is what we got from Faith and Light, a community of Catholics with children with special needs.
Yes.
That is something the healthcare professionals cannot provide, right? And I think that it's not just about comparing notes or about, but we have a kind of understanding and acceptance that our children with special needs, they also have social needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also have psychological needs, and they also have spiritual needs.
They do.
And that is something that has been a huge source of support for me, and I believe for Rosalind as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe I can add on as we move along
Yeah,
in the
okay.
conversation. Yeah.
Well, dear sisters and brothers, today we're speaking to Rosalind, Jeraled, and Michael Jalleh. And, you know, it's really about the children that God has gifted to them. They're in their own journeys with these special children. And if any of you who are tuning in and you're listening to this as well, and if you are in such a situation as well, you can always write to us at 68951515. And if you have any questions, we might not be able to get back to you today immediately, but definitely if you have and if you need any information, we'll be happy to give that to you as well. And if you're looking for help, we can also possibly give you some information as well. I just want to, you know, to have these kids, there are the ups and downs. Just having a normal child is already a journey. But these gifted children, and I'm going to continue using and calling them gifted children because I think that is what they are truly. And, you know, we always say, you know, God gives us the grace to overcome and to meet the demands of our lives. And His grace is sufficient for us. But sometimes His grace is sufficient, but sometimes, you know, we being human, you know, sometimes are stretched as well.
Yes.
And that's why we need communities to help us and to support us. And if you can continue to share a little bit more about what the community does, the Faith and Light community does for you and for the kids, I'll be happy to hear that from you, both of you.
Okay. I think for me, Faith and Light was like a light at the end of the tunnel. So when Leon was young, when I joined Faith and Light in 2009, Leon was about 8.5 then.
Right.
So that was a very challenging period for us because Leon is a big child. He's big. And he had lots of attention deficit issues. He may not sit there, like I said. So when you are already as a family, because I had my kids much later, so they're all 1 year apart only. So when you prepare the whole family and we go to church, and not just church, even many other events, you'll realize that you only go in for the most 5-10 minutes, and then everybody will have to leave because Leon was acting up.
Yes.
So this didn't really help very much with the other kids because it's like we go to church and we leave. And then after that, I don't want to go because every time we go, we need to leave. So Faith and Light gave us an opportunity to join them. So when you attend Faith and Light session, you are not judged. My kids accompanied us in the initial period when they were young because in Faith and Light, we come together, we share the Word of God in a way that these kids could understand. So when Leon used to be running around, my other two kids would sit and they had the accompaniment of the other special need children with them. And the parents, I would feel very awkward. Oh my goodness, Leon is running all over the room.
Yeah.
And the other parents will reassure me, don't worry, Ross, it's okay. Let him be and let him do what he wants.
Yeah.
So that was an environment that opened up opportunities for me to gel, come back for genuine friendship and love and acceptance of us.
Yeah.
And my children who were coming along could see that. Leon eventually, at his own pace, could understand that. He would be able to like sit for a while, get up. And that extension of sitting continued for a longer period.
Right.
Today, when we joined Faith and Light, and Leon is very excited when you tell him, tomorrow we're having Faith and Light session because at our community, at Our Lady Star of the Sea, we do it on the 4th session of every month.
Right.
So when you tell him, because I do prepare him ahead,
Right.
so you tell him tomorrow is Faith and Light, but he will be so excited
Wonderful.
So he knows that he could connect with people there. And when he goes there, he will say, faith and light. Today is Saturday, faith and light. He will repeat this. Even when he goes for masses, he will repeat Sunday, church, mass. So he could feel a sense of connection. So faith and light has given us that. And given the parents they share their struggles.
Yeah.
They share what has helped and what has worked for them. So these are things that we come together and we know that there are others in the same community.
Correct. Mike, your experience?
Yeah, so I belong to the Our Lady of Perpetual Succor, the Siglap Church.
Right.
Yeah. So we meet about once a month, yeah, and we attend Mass together. Yeah. I think when the special ones attend Mass as a group, of course, Father would know that we are there,
Yes.
and our presence would be acknowledged. And when the congregation knows that we are a group, I think there is a certain expectation that there might be one or two who might yell out or be noisy,
Right.
or who might walk around. And I think the congregation kind of understands and accepts. Now that is helpful to us
Yes.
as the parents of the special ones,
Yeah.
because we know that the congregation understands. It is when we bring our special ones for Mass on our own, that is the challenge. So sometimes Father does not know you, and the congregation does not know you, or
Absolutely.
does not know your child.
Yeah.
And you feel judged as a parent. And the child, I think, also feels it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Some would even scold them. Right. So that's tough. Bringing them for Mass on our own is difficult. So I think Faith and Light has been a blessing for us in that regard. On occasions, we also, as a group, meet separately before Mass and often after Mass. Now, those gatherings and reflections are very helpful.
Yeah.
So sometimes Father would also join us, and they would go along with some of our prayers and our reflections. And we sometimes role play the readings in the
Oh,
Bible.
that's nice. A little bit like the children's
Yes,
bits,
that's right. Yeah. And the special ones, I think they really enjoy
Enjoys
that
it.
because it becomes real for them.
Yeah.
It becomes,
and sometimes they can act it out themselves, I
yes,
think.
yes. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes they would add on to it. in very
Praise
funny,
the Lord,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, in very funny but surprising and insightful ways as well. Yeah.
And that's the beauty. I mean, the thing is, there is, whilst they need us, right? These gifted children, they also teach us.
Yes.
I feel so much more than sometimes the rascals, the normal rascals we call them. But they can teach us so much. But I want to ask both of you, from your own experiences, what can the Catholic community do to help parents like yourselves with these gifted children? How can we change our way of thinking and, our own perceptions of what church is supposed to be about? And, yes, I mean, we try our best, but there are these special children that are amongst us. And you are the parents, and you are also part of the community. And so we have to look at the whole, right? And so when the body of Christ is in pain, all are in pain. Everybody is going to feel that pain, right? In 1 Corinthians 12. But so how can we then be a more accommodating community? What would help?
Yeah.
Okay, the first thing I would like to say is from the time Leon was much younger to today, the church has already done a lot of things. I have to say that.
Right.
Because, like I said, the hospitality ministries, they were shared, they were taught how to manage. So today when we go to church, they understand. See, Leon may walk in quietly, but during Mass he may say things, and he may have a gesture that he may take he's got this thing. He'll always take his knuckle and knock on his head. He does it when he's excited, he's happy, he says, so it could be different emotions that he wants to experience.
Right.
Initial stage people may not know, but today the community is more acceptable. The hospitality ministry understands that. They will give you a place to sit which is more comfortable. You may want to sit at the back. They're very open to it. They won't force you to the front. I mean, there were times that they'll tell you, go to the front, occupy the space. But I will say no, because I know what would happen eventually.
Correct.
But today they're very acceptable about it.
That's great.
So when you enter church, they acknowledge. The beautiful thing is they acknowledge
You're
Leon.
in South of the Sea. I
Yes,
go there
I'm at Star of the
sometimes.
Sea. Yes. So I must give credit to our ministry people, even the communion ministers. So Leon had journeyed together with the special catechism group, catechist.
And he's
So
received communion.
He has. So my sister used to be a catechist in the church. She still is. So she took part in the special training, and we journeyed together so Leon could receive the Holy Communion. So the communion ministers themselves, they understand and they know these are the children. So they have made an effort to know the children in our community, who are the kids with special need, when they come forth to receive the Holy Communion.
Wonderful.
Because they may not have the exact practice and what they need to do. Sometimes he will put up his hand and then he will say Amen, and he's waiting. So they're so nice, they'll just give it to him in his mouth. So he accepts that. So these are things they have done. And there are churches, I know that they have given special space for them to sit so they don't. What I would like to really see is in our own communities, more people who can come forth as volunteers. Because they may be standing away because they don't know how to help.
Yes,
I
that's
have
true.
the time, but I don't know what to do. I don't understand special needs.
Yeah.
But it's not about understanding. It's about coming forth first. And then you realize that it's not that difficult. The journey, we are all there to help, but we need more people. So if the community in each church could come forth to do that, I think that is beautiful. That it's already a journey towards, I would say, integration, journey towards inclusion, and making these children feel more welcome in church.
Yeah. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I agree with Rosalind. I think over the last few years in particular, there's been more effort on the part of the church to reach out to caregivers of special people with special needs.
Right.
And like I said earlier, I think it helps when the parish priest supports the community of people with special needs,
Yeah.
acknowledges their presence. So I think that's the first step, right?
Yeah, I think acknowledging the presence, and then that sort of also sets the context, and you also set people's expectations.
Yeah.
Right?
So in Singapore, as a society as well, I think we have taken some very positive steps. You do have students, high-functioning autistic students in primary schools who are integrated into mainstream schools, and you have allied health educators.
That's right. Yes.
So we have taken some very positive steps as a society. As a church, we have also taken some positive steps. I just wish that perhaps I'm a little biased here because I am a caregiver myself. I just wish that that could be speeded up a bit more. If there is greater awareness amongst Catholics about people with special needs,
Yes.
and people with special needs with spiritual needs, right? You have to acknowledge that, and that they have a right as well to attend church. I think that would be a very positive steps. But I think, like I said, those steps have been taken. I just wish that it could be a bit faster.
Right, right. I think, and I'm going to be honest here, I think it'll take a while, but as more families also, I think, interact or interface with other families, we have to have this opportunity to interact,
Yes.
and to mingle and to understand as well. And you're right, because as caregivers, people think, or the whole family comes as a package. But then again, each is an individual, and every individual has their own spiritual needs as well, right? And so as church, I think we have some way.
Yes.
We have some way. We have made progress. That's for sure. And I think a lot of the priests and the communities, I think themselves, are going out of the way to extend, I think, a helping hand or an understanding, creating an understanding and environment which is conducive for families, that have special children like this. Before you go, I was just wondering, can you just share with us very quickly your experience? Now, each child that you have is, for some people, some families don't know how to manage and find it very difficult. I know personally, sadly, some families have been torn apart because they've had children who are gifted. And somehow or other, there is tension inside, within the family, and they just don't know how to manage. So how can you share with us your experience? How do you manage times when things get a little bit difficult? Mike, can I start with you first?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So before I answer, I have to say it's a personal experience of mine, and every special child, by the definition of the word special, is different, right? So the challenges faced by parents would be different.
Yeah.
But I think it helps when the family, father, mother, siblings, have that common understanding and desire to want to understand the child, and that common desire to want to help the child, and that common desire to learn from the child, right? So I think we often miss out that last part.
Yeah.
That the child is something to teach us, right? And if I may speak personally about Claire, my special daughter, or rather the daughter with special needs, I think what she has taught us to be more appreciative of the here and now, what's happening now, right? She's not worried about her CPF, right? She's not worried about who she's going to marry, right? She wants to be with her friends. She wants to be with her favorite aunt, right? She wants to be with us.
Yes.
So she would, every morning she'd ask me, where are we going? And of course I'll say, I'm going to work. Right? And there's a certain routine, okay? Yes. So if you follow a kind of a routine, she knows what to expect, but her focus is on the here and now.
Right.
And that's something that we have learned from her. And,
that's so true.
In a way, that's kind of a spiritual awakening for us, at least for me. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Because here and now is God.
Yes. Yeah.
For us, I think, the struggles were really many. I mean, like I said, when Michael shared about therapies can cost a lot. So a lot of families go through a lot of financial crisis as well. That could really add on.
These are all the realities
of it.
Truly.
And of course, you have other children to care for as well. Their needs and their wants and so on. Right. And I think from Leon, for me, who's a very fast-paced in what I was doing even before the kids came, it personally made me slow down. Patience, wait, perseverance. It will happen. So these are things that I learned from him. Because there are many things that we tried to work with Leon and it didn't work, but we didn't give up. We know that you have to push. And I think God's graces and mercy is always there. I think to me, we had personally experienced it in many ways. You need to put your trust. If what I see in Leon today, if the family was not together, it would not have been possible.
Yeah.
Everyone had contributed, even my own children. My younger daughter, she's the youngest, and her relationship with Leon is very strong, Letitia. So, no matter what your struggles are, you need to trust God. That's how I lead my life. My life is listen to the prompting of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Sometimes you are there, it's so cloudy. You don't know what I should do, but I've been doing it. Doesn't work. You don't see it in the same way as I do. We are both parents. We are struggling. We have different opinions, right? You think this is good, and I think this is good. You know, it's with Leon. Like, for example, me and my spouse, we decided, okay, we'll try mainstream school. Leon was deferred. A year he went to mainstream school, but he could only do it for 3 years. Then he was struggling because I know how the mainstream schools are. So we give the child that opportunity. We don't want him to miss. But then you have to face reality.
Yeah.
You have to come to terms with it. And as a family, sometimes I think our biggest support is my mom. She has been the pillar of strength. Leon had a lot of behavior issues. He could be very aggressive. None of us were spared. So people who don't know him may stay away. You see, because we don't know him, but he looks so huge. But if you know him, he's loving, as I said. But
Gentle giant.
Giant, but the aggressive behavior can get into many people. So we had to make many decisions. It was a struggle, a lot of struggle, to a point that sometimes I told Mommy, I think you can't be staying with us because we don't want to hurt you as well.
Yeah.
So those are things that as a family you make together. And for the family to come together when you have a child with special need, it needs God's graces.
Indeed.
Yes.
You know, I really want to thank both of you so much for being so personal and again sharing with us. It's not easy to talk about this. Really, it is not. I, for one, can feel your emotions as well. And I mean, we're all family people. We're all families. We all come from families, and we have our struggles. But with God, thank God.
Thank God.
For him, right? Otherwise, we like I said, it's grace. It's his grace. At the end of the day, it is his grace that gets us through every day.
Very true.
Every day. And your lesson from Claire is beautiful because the here and now is something that we lose sight of in the running that we actually are caught up in.
Yes.
Right? We are lost in that. But it is these children who somehow or other
bring us back.
Yeah.
To it.
Pull the brakes sometimes for us, to help us see more clearly. So, okay, time to go. So, let me thank Rosalind Jeraled. Rosalind is a mum of three adult children. Her son, Leon, is on the moderate spectrum of autism, and she's also an early childhood professional. And she's been with the Faith and Light community since 2009. Michael Jalleh is a father of 2 adult girls, and his younger daughter, Claire, is intellectually challenged, and he's been with the Faith and Light community for 8 years. So thank you again, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Not at all.
For having us.
With this, I hope also those who tune in also understand, the challenges, but also get from the two of you the positivity and the possibility as well of these children, being a part of our lives and being a part of God's family, and that we treat each and every one with dignity and with love. And I think that's the important thing, isn't it?
I think unconditional love
Absolutely.
is the most important. And I would just like to share as our own experience as parents. You don't need to be alone. There is a community out there.
Thank you for that.
And it's very important that you come and join communities that makes you feel welcome, because a child needs a community.
Absolutely. And parents need a community as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah?
Indeed. Yes. So thank you so much to Ross and Mike for coming down. So just a reminder also, earlier on we've shared there is a Faith and Light community that you can connect with. Also, if you're a catechist and you are looking to looking for ways to connect with children with special needs, OFC, that's the Office for Catechesis, they are also having a program to equip more volunteers, parents, caregivers also on how to connect with children with special needs. Also, not forgetting Catholic Family Life for bringing Ross and Mike to us today to share their stories so personally. And just a reminder, if you're listening to us right now on our live stream, Brightside broadcasts every alternate Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. and Encore is tonight 8 p.m. So don't forget to catch that, and 5 p.m. on the following day. So if you'd like to catch the podcast version, someone who perhaps looking for resources, would like to listen to also the very personal stories of Rosalind and Michael, you can catch it on our Catholic SG Radio app, as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, and you can also watch this episode on our Catholic SG YouTube channel.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
so you can do all of that, and make sure you connect with us if you need to really, truly, to any of these communities, your sisters and brothers. There are resources for you. Okay? So thank you so much. I'm Andreacha. She's Beatrice de Cruz. Thanks for joining us today. God bless and love you all. Bye.
Bye.